After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th of 1941, there was a rush of young men from all over the country who really kind of dropped everything that they were doing and went and volunteered to fight against Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany. There was a different group of Americans who had to wage a different fight even before they could start training and go overseas. And that group was the African Americans, and the fight that they had to wage was one to prove that they were equal and that they were competent to go and fight and take up arms just like anybody else. And one of the places where they trained and made a name for themselves was right here in Tuskegee, Alabama.
Historic site, a unit of the National Park Service. We are open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
So, earlier today, I checked on the website, which told me that this place was open. And then I called just to be sure and got that message, which also told me it was open. And we got here and turns out everything's closed. So anyway, I'm glad I didn't drive 2 hours just to come see this place. But anyway, we're going to make the best of a bad situation. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go inside any of these places at the Tuskegee Airfield, or Moulton Airfield is technically what it is. But we're going to take a look around and look at the external structures and kind of show what we can. So as I just mentioned, this is Moulton Field. I think I'm pronouncing that right, M-O-T-O-N. And you can see there are 2 hangars. Originally there was just one, I believe. And then there were so many recruits coming in that it increased the demand and they built a second hangar. This little tarmac area that you see right out here, this would have been the busy part of this field. So buses would have come in, dropped off recruits, and picked them back up to take them over to the Tuskegee Institute where they were being housed. So during the war years, this would have been a flurry of activity right here where we're standing. Oh look, we found a little crack in the hangar door where we can look inside. And that is one of the planes that the Tuskegee Airmen would have trained on. So there you go. Whenever you're talking about the Tuskegee Airmen, it's very easy to think that that just includes the pilots. In fact, anybody who was on the maintenance crew or the ground crew or anything like that was considered a Tuskegee Airman. So this is an original structure here at the airfield. This was an oil storage shed. I mentioned that there were 2 hangars that were built here. This is hangar number 1, so this would have been the original. And this is where all of the main activities would have taken place here at the airfield. So flight debriefings, record keeping, aircraft maintenance, all of that would have taken place right here. And then that door, if we could go in, was originally a machine shop, but they've, I think, made it like an orientation information area now. So again, we're still looking at hangar number 1 here, and there used to be 2 buildings on this side of the hangar, and you can see they're no longer there, but they've put up a frame to show what used to be there. This one right here was the Cadet House. So this is where you would have like flight briefings and kind of a training school type thing for the flight cadets. And then this one right here, this was a maintenance shed. Yeah, so they're kind of just preserving the idea, at least, of what was there. Now, one of the things that is an ever-present danger at an airfield is fire. There's a lot of fuel, there's a lot of oil, everything here is, flammable. So this is a fire protection shed. So this would have had hoses, fire extinguishers, different tools for fighting fires. Again, it took everybody to make this happen. Lots that goes into getting a pilot in the air. What we're looking at right here is the bath and locker house here at Moton Field. Now, ordinarily I wouldn't pay much attention to this, but what makes this kind of historically interesting is that this was open to both blacks and whites. So it's quite possible that this may have been one of the few, if not the only, integrated facility in the South in 1941. Kind of cool. All right, and here's hangar number 2 that was constructed to meet the demand of all of the African American recruits that were coming in. Now, just to be clear, I don't think this is the original. I read that the original burned down in 1989, and this might be a rebuild, but I'll have to check up on that. Right here is the brains of the entire field. This is the control tower. So this is where flight instructions would have been given out, and orders to land and instructions to land would have been sent to the pilots. Would have been a whole lot going on there during training in the 1940s, and I wish I could go in. The Tuskegee Airmen are an important part not only of World War II history, but American history. I mean, it was these men who really started paving the way for desegregation in this country. So, yeah, even though we didn't get to go inside and look at the artifacts in the museum, I'm glad that we came here because this is an important place. And it was still fascinating to me to be able to walk these grounds where all of these men walked and trained and got ready to go fight. All right, well, it's Alabama, it's August. I feel like I'm standing on the surface of the sun. So we're gonna hop back in the car. We're gonna head off to the next place.